just going to talk about two main types of chin rests we get. So your standard violin chin rest that comes with most new violins will look like this. It's got the spot for your chin to go in, and then it also extends over the tailpiece. So this is what most of the violins will come with. Now I only have one instrument that has this, and this is my viola, so I'll just show you. So here it is, and then it goes over the bottom of the tailpiece. Now what this position is sort of on your shoulder, but your head is still quite a bit to the side. Now what happens here is, with your chin rest on this position, your view from here over to the strings will mainly be over the lower two strings. So on the violin it will be the G and the D string. On the viola, the C and the G. So you don't really see straight over onto the A and the E or down the middle. Now for some people, the visual aspect is really very important. They sort of feel off if something is not centered. So if you're a very visual person and you like things to be centered, then this is what's happening to many of my, the kids and the adults, is that they tilt the head to see what's going on. Now that of course immediately brings stress and tension into your neck, which we don't want. So test yourself to see if you, when you place the violin, so if you have a chin rest like this, so if it's on your shoulder, just take this hand, move it up to about here, where you can see down the middle, in between the D and the A string. And that is basically the visual that you will have with the center mount. So if this makes you feel more comfortable, that you feel, okay, now I can actually keep my head nice and straight and relaxed and not have to do this, then I would suggest that you get a center mount, because that will help you a lot. Almost all my adult students have changed from the standard chin rest that they got to a center mount. I personally also like the center mount. The center mount looks like this. This middle of the chin rest goes over the tailpiece. So that's what it looks like. So it moves your head right over to the middle. So when you have that, the violin goes much higher on. So that's about the position that it is if you're on the side. So now look where it sort of moves up. So here it's much higher. Now what I see is straight over the middle of the violin, the D and the A string. And I can relax much more, my neck will be more relaxed if I'm a visual person. Some people don't really need that. If you're one of those who use your ears listening to the intonation, or is very tactile, so you actually want to feel where your fingers are. Many people are like, they want to feel. This is the G, D, A, E, and they find their orientation through that. Some are very visual. They want, especially in the beginning, to make sure that their fingers are where they want it. So it's really a very individual choice. There's no one that is correct or not correct. You will also see on YouTube lots of discussions about this. Some people insist it must be this or that. I personally feel it's really up to you as an individual. Where can you relax most? Hold the violin as relaxed and as natural as possible. I like the center mount better because it moves my violin higher up, and I like the violin high on my shoulder. So if you want to pull it down, then you would need, we never really want it right in front of you, because that restricts your elbow movement. So if, especially with adults, you have sometimes less movement in your shoulder. So if you can't move your shoulder over, relax your shoulder and bring your arm over to get into this hand position. I have some adult students who are limited to literally just going to this position. Now if the violin is quite low, they will even have difficulty playing on the E string. Now if it moves up, already you have more flexibility to just come over, even in a limited range, so that your knuckles can be high and you can reach over to the D and the G string. So the more flexible you are, the easier you're going to be able to do these swinging movements. Now if you're limited in your shoulder and feel that you sort of get stuck there, you know, it might be good to do some stretch exercises. If you have a yoga teacher near you, ask him for some advice, or a physiotherapist. See, do they have some just basic warm-up exercises that you can do daily to just very gently try and extend that range, because that will really help a lot in your intonation, in being able to get your fingers over. So for two types of students, if you're very visual and you want to really be centered, looking down the center of your violin, this center mount is the best option, or the better option. And also, if you have limited range in your shoulder, to bring over your elbow to your middle, for people like that as well, the center one is really going to help, because it's going to push up the violin quite a bit to help you with that. Hopefully this was useful in helping you to decide what kind of chin rest you would prefer, the center mount or the standard one that it comes with. And there are even other ones that would basically look like this, but without this centerpiece. So it will literally sit on the side of the violin, and it's quite close to the side there, and it will then really keep the violin very low. I would not suggest that as a good option for anybody, but it's all up to you. Good. Hopefully this was useful. The first artist is Anne-Sophie Mutter, and she actually plays without a shoulder rest and a center-mounted chin rest. So her violin is very high up, as you can see. Comes quite high up on her shoulder. The next one is Augustin Harderlich. He also plays without a shoulder rest, and the chin rest is side-mounted, but his violin comes down quite low. Hilary Hahn has some YouTube videos you can also watch, where she discusses shoulder rests and chin rests, and she often uses a cloth when she's performing. So obviously she has some issues with chin rests especially. So it's good to also see what she has to say. Joshua Bell's chin rest is kind of center mounted. It's also got some part on the side. He might have had it designed for himself, which is also quite interesting. Lindsay Sterling has many different violins that she uses. Most of them seem to have the side chin rest, the one that's partly over the tailpiece but more to the side. And I'm sure she has experimented a lot to find what is most comfortable for her while she's performing, because she dances a lot while she's performing. So it's really up to you to see what is the most comfortable for you and what is it that you need to make your playing as easy as possible.